guys, Molly Alexander here, the Southeast Regional Sales Manager and Agronomist for AgroTech USA, and I have with me the infamous XA guy, Chad Henderson from North Alabama.
The original Send It guy. Temple talks about a Send It guy.
I heard you were Send It twins.
I come out first.
Okay, well, you were the first one.
There you go.
The OG, he says.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're going to address some factors surrounding phosphorus in Alabama. What prompted Chad to look at phosphorus as part of his fertility, maybe limitations, and what he's doing to solve any issues that he's found. So
we want the truth.
We want the truth.
So the truth is that I done looked at everything else, so why not phosphorus?
So is it not true that in kind of a fertility aspect as a whole, we look at NP and K first, right?
We 100%. We think, as you'll hear Kelly say a lot of times, and it's true, we think the holy grail of growing corn is population and nitrogen.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Oh, don't let me forget, I think I got a little bit of K out there. Oh, do I need phosphorus?
Definitely.
So, and that's just the way we've been taught. That's just the way it is. And so we started addressing phosphorus actually whenever we started playing with it in our 2x2.
Mm-hmm.
We started out and we was just putting 28 down. I said, oh man, we fixed stretch our legs a little bit here. We finna get us some dang 10-34. Oh.
Woo.
And we finna step out big. So in the 10-34-0 come by, I'm like, oh man, I hate to say I dump a lot of salt out here. So let me get me some 9-24-3.
That's right.
So when I come with a 9-24-3, I thought, look out, David Hula. So anyway, with that being said, on a serious note, we started addressing this thing in a 2x2 where we seen that we thought, me, Chad,
Mm-hmm.
just trialing like I do, that 28 is what turns corn green.
Right.
And it is to a sense, but mess around and put a high phosphorus out and then watch your corn plant. Watch it when you don't have the purple streaking in it. There's a lot of things that go on in the plant that's not 28 when we think it's always 28. And so that's led me to start digging deeper into phosphorus.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. Historically in this area, since you were born and raised in this area, you've got a pretty good foothold on limitations and problems and things like that. 2x2 is not necessarily a widely adapted practice in this area, is it?
No, nobody wants to look like a donut at the end of the day. I mean, like you glazed up, fertilizer running down your arm, It's bad.
So
No.
would you say before you adopted 2x2, the majority of your phosphorus inputs were in a dry situation?
Always phosphorus in a dry situation, and then we've always had a source, not always, but for a long time, last 10 or 12 years or so, we've had a good source of chicken litter.
Mm-hmm.
And with that chicken litter, that's when we really seen, hey man, look at here, we're getting some other things in here. We're getting some calcium in, we're getting some K in,
Mm-hmm.
we're getting some phosphorus. We really started addressing our soils. We've learned a lot on Henderson Farms in the last 10 years or so. But before that, it was just, we're going to put us on our wheat crop. Let's say wheat crop, for instance, we're going to put us a 35 or 25, 50-50 down, or
Mm-hmm.
25, 60-60 down. And man, I really was knocking her out the park with that combo. But we've learned that there's a lot better ways to do it. Can we ever do it without putting any dry fertilizer out? Possibly. Am I there? No.
Now, did you come to that conclusion? Let me ask you this. We'll back up a little bit. So when you were looking at historically your soil test,
Mm-hmm.
did your soil test show that you had a sufficient amount of phosphorus,
Oh, yeah.
a high amount of phosphorus?
I would say, well, what would you call sufficient? What would you call high? Let's just talk numbers. We'll talk ppms for a minute. Everybody wants to get into ppms, so let's just talk about ppms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, would we say that, on a chart and we can see us a green line or a red line?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to see a green line.
Mm-hmm.
So would that be 80, 90, 100, maybe up to 200?
That's excessive. But
That's
yes.
excessive.
Mm-hmm.
I got some 200s. So that's what I'm talking about. We have sufficient phosphorus. I think we don't understand. I don't know if anybody, I wouldn't say anybody, I think some of the people at the labs may not know what sufficient means.
I agree with
Whoa.
that. No, that's a very good point, because what we get in a lab-induced situation is not what necessarily applies to your infield, right? And we've seen that how many times?
Every time.
So historically, when you decided to use your dry inputs and you said chicken litter, calcium is a huge antagonist of phosphorus, is it not?
That's what they say.
So when you apply, pounds and pounds of litter, to me it creates more of like a jail cell situation type. Like you've got your phosphorus locked in that soil. So where your soil tests are showing that you have plenty amounts, like you said 200, that makes me like nervous. But how do you get that actually accessible and available to the plant?
So let's okay, that's a great point. So let's take it into even easier layman's terms and come right back again. Let's take pH, for instance.
Okay.
Okay, let's say you rent a farm and the pH on it is 5, 5.2.
Right.
But whatever, everything else is what? Off the charts, because nothing else has been used. And that's the same way we're doing with phosphorus. You know, we can fix it. You have to fix your pH first.
Correct.
And then everything else follows that. Well, it's the same thing with the phosphorus. When it gets up there and it gets high, the reason it's high is you might look like, well, heck, maybe it's because I ain't using it. So that's when we started digging in. Probably the last 5 years, we've started digging into solubilizers. And that's where we started seeing the bump. And we got to thinking about, well, how can we do this? And we don't need to add to the budget. You know, you'll hear us talk a lot extreme ag. You'll hear me talk about, I got a fertility budget. And even phosphorus solubilizers are going to fit into my fertility budget, right? So when we do that, let's say your number's $100. If your number's $100, then I'm going to pull back a few numbers of this or a few numbers of that, whichever one by farm needs to be. And we're going to address it with solubilizers or humic acids, fulvics. We're looking at all these things as to make it available. I don't know. I know that I had one farm before it turned to concrete that I put 5 crops on without putting any fertility on it. And on the last final crop, before they poured the concrete out there and they was making the driveway, then I was out there pulling a soil sample because I just had to know.
Yeah.
It dropped 20 ppms.
So that was actual proof that you had been able to mine what you needed out of that soil.
And it never even mined. It just, we kept it available and we just kept using what was there. And so we, as farmers, we know we got to get more efficient. We know the regulations are coming down the pipe that Temple and some of the guys in the Chesapeake Bay area have. We know that's coming. And we're data logging all this and we're gathering all this information for that day. But we know the efficiency range. We don't even know. I don't know if we know, Molly, how far the efficiency can go.
I agree with that. So would you say that there's ranges of different phosphorus inputs that you can get in this area? So you mentioned chicken litter. You mentioned a 2x2. You mentioned some dry inputs. So you've got different phosphorus sources across the board. So on these P solubilizers that you're referring to, those things that can go into a wide variety of P sources that actually fit your farming practices. So I know you strip till quite a bit. And so if you're banding some dry fertility into a strip till, a solubilizer for P is something that can fit there. It'll also fit in your 2x2. And then you have figured out that mid-season to later season, by adding additional P through a Y drop application, you've actually seen and been able to produce a higher yield. So
that's really Temple jumped on that first, so I'm gonna give him that one. You know,
you're the OG, send it. But
I
we'll
know,
give it to
but
Temple.
I'm gonna give that one to Temple because he'll be like, man, you know I called you. Anyway,
that's okay. That's a whole different
whole
story.
different ball game.
But
we as a team figured that out.
That's good to know.
To know where we can go with that, y'all, I don't know. Like, I really don't know. But we are headed in the right direction. I mean, and we're running at it with both feet. Like, we're on the run with it. But every time, I hate to use the word every time.
It's a broad statement.
Most of the time, because somebody will find a spot that it won't work, and they'll be like, Chad, you was wrong. Like, no, crap, I was wrong a lot of days. But a lot of the times we use this in the situations that we're trying to use it in, we have good results. Because we're freeing up that stuff and we're getting the soil balance closer. I wouldn't say we ever get it balanced. I don't know if you can see a balanced soil. Like, I don't know if we'll ever achieve it. But we're heading in the direction.
Yes.
Would you agree with that? Because
I seen
the tickle the feather. It's like, you know.
No, I agree. There's so many conditions.
It's like Kelly talking about, have you ever seen a stress-free plant? I don't know that we ever have.
No. There's too many outside variables that cannot be controlled by us. Yes, we can irrigate. So we know that phosphorus, there's different things that affect it. You said pH, that's a big one. Temperature, water quality. There's so many things that affect it as a whole.
This field right here is tiled behind us. You know, aeration.
Yep.
I mean, we're doing all we can do.
That's right.
And
so, historically, based on what all you've told me, you've chosen a P solubilizer. You said that you've gone 5 years with it and seen good results. So the P solubilizer we're referring to is NutriCharge. And NutriCharge...
With NutriCharge, I'm probably 3 years deep. But with P solubilizers, I've been testing. But with NutriCharge, I'm a solid 3 years deep.
Okay.
clearing the water right there. I didn't know NutriCharge was around. That person is out there. Anyway.
Right. But what I'll say is, by doing this and seeing this work on your own farm and being able to incorporate it into all your different fertility applications and practices, would you say comfortably that NutriCharge has become part of your just grower standard that you feel that it needs to be on every acre that you have?
We have. I mean, we're always still looking for the right amount and the right time on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with our first weed application of side dress, we put out 15 gallon of 28005,
Mm-hmm.
and with that particular rate, because of the gallons and the holding of the tank, we put out 4 ounces of NutriCharge on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we could put out 3.2, but I'm not gonna sit here with that much of a jug left. You know, because I am the OG Cindy guy.
True.
So you know, I'm on. You know, so we just had a jug to the filling. You know, and it worked good. With that being said, you know, my second trip, it'll get another shot on
Mm-hmm.
it, you know. So we just keep trickling this in because we're still trying to get that availability, you know. And there's other things that's in phosphorus solubilizer, NutriCharge, whichever one you want to talk about, but NutriCharge is what we're talking about right now. There's other things that it'll do as well that it may not be registered for, and we can't talk about what it is, but you know, when we're talking about putting on nitrogen, there's other things that it does,
Right.
you know.
That's
So it's something that we use in our wheat already. We'll use it again in the wheat. We'll use it in our corn twice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll use it at planting, and then we'll use it again at wide drop, because we've seen that the late season phosphorus demands. And look at just look at the corn plant curve
Mm-hmm.
and see where it needs to be. We'll figure out how to get that much. Figure out how to get the corn plant to drink that much phosphorus at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, maybe we don't need to drink it. Maybe we just need to free it up again.
Right. So you would comfortably say that NutriCharge as a whole, across all aspects, your research that you've done, everything that you've done, you feel that NutriCharge has definitely helped in what they call the notoriously hard to farm Alabama red clay.
Alabama hammer red clay.
That first and foremost, phosphorus is probably a limiting factor because of availability, right? And then two, NutriCharge has definitely helped with your solubility, availability, and you can visually see it not only in the crop response itself as it's growing, but at the end of the year in your yield.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. We've got it on the program. You know, we buy it a pallet at a time. You know, and we just put it in the program and fit it into the budget. You know, at the beginning of the year. You know, it's just in our grower standard practice. You know, it's been a good tool in the toolbox for us. It'll continue to be, and we'll continue to evolve with it. You know, it's something that we don't quit testing just because it's worked 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years. You know, we're trying to test what's the better use for it. What is the better timing for it? You know, because as we grow as farmers, with efficiency is what we're trying to do as American farmer is still key in this situation. And so with that being said, we're going to be the best we can be to, are we ever going, you think I'll ever get to the spot where I don't need any dry fertility?
No.
I doubt it.
No.
You know, I'd love to get there, but I mean, it's just not, I don't think it's feasible at this point in the game. Do we need to, you know, work on biology? Of course, you know, and all these things we're doing is that what I feel like I'm trying to do as a farmer to better the soil that the good Lord give me.
Good deal. So I'm Molly Alexander with AgroTech USA, and thank you, Chad, for taking the time to talk to us today. If you have any questions, check us out online, agrotechusa.com.